your plan B. Stick it to your memory, and this is where we be.
Good evening. Welcome to Combe TV. Can you believe it? It's the big 80. We've reached 80 episodes. I don't know if anybody saw it. It was shared by the Circuit Racing Club, I think it was, that it was the anniversary of the first ever show 4 years ago on whatever day it was, yesterday or the day before. I think it was yesterday. I've lost track. I cannot believe it. And I watched that back and just brought back so many memories. I put on a bit of timber around the face on compared to when I did that one. That's because it was the start of the lockdown, which was barbecues and lots of gin and cider. Actually, that's no different, is it? Listen, I cannot wait for this. It's the start of the season. We are less than a week away from the start of the season. It's going to be Howard's Day. Did any of you make it to the media day, the media and open day? Spectators were allowed as well. Free entry. It was epic. Just to make sure that you didn't miss it.
Hi, I'm Kat from CCRC Racing Club. Just wanted to say welcome to our first event of the year. We're delighted to have everybody joining us for an open day featuring media track for the club. Great to have spectators here as well, and although it's a track day, everybody's having some really fun time both on and off the track. I'd like to say a big thank you to our sponsors, My Race Lab, Gulf Race Fuels, Samco Sport, and everyone else that's come to join us. Thanks to the media and everyone that supports the club and the circuit throughout the year. Have a fabulous season. We're really looking forward to it.
massive thank you to everyone that's come down to Open and Media Day 2024. It's been great to have the public down at the track for the first time this year, as well as having a lot of our sponsors and partners showcased. And yeah, we look forward to joining a lot of you next weekend for Spring Action Day or one of the other events on our calendar this year.
So if you've missed it, hopefully that's given you an idea that you don't want to miss it again. Next year, it's going to get even bigger and better. So if you didn't get out on track, make sure you're there next year. And if you didn't get on the spectator banks and walking around a paddock, you need to. It's such an incredible event. And genuinely, the events team are going to make it even bigger and better. There's no question about it. They enjoyed being let loose. So there was another sponsor, by the way. We will say and add to that video that when you heard Kat mention about the sponsors, and we've got South Cerney Engineering. The reason that wasn't is that was launched on the day as a new sponsor of the Saloon Car Championship. I'm delighted to say that John Wills will be on a little bit later from South Cerney Engineering to talk about his background of watching at Combe, the saloons and racing, and South Cerney Engineering and his real passions about getting more people involved in engineering. So that'll be a great interview in a little bit. Before I bring out my co-host, because I'm going to say that she's my co-host tonight, she isn't just a guest, is that Kat Dall'Occo will be on with me in a minute. But just quickly to catch up with everybody, thank you for all the comments that have been coming in already. Mike Cotton, evening, Mike. The excitement mounts, doesn't it just? And those videos made it even worse, didn't it, to be honest with you? Lewis Bird Motorsport, good evening, everyone. I can't wait for Monday. Dilly Dilly. This is my Dilly Dilly tonight. It's water, Your Honour. It genuinely is, because I got an early start tomorrow. But dilly dilly anyway. You know that I'll make up for it. Ben Pemberton Racing, evening, mate. Hello, everyone. Dilly dilly, Mr. Dawes. Looking forward to the 2024 season getting underway. 100% agree. Cannot wait indeed. Peggy, evening, Peggy. Good evening, all. Excited for the season to begin. One of our Orange Army. Hey there, everyone. Dilly dilly, not long now. Ben Hindle, evening, all. Hope you're going to be back out at some point this year, Ben. Emma Brown, our Formula 4 coordinator. Evening all, dilly dilly. That's like I've got a reputation, isn't there? Evening to you. Lulu Tupu, yeah, let's go. Absolutely, I agree, Lulu. Mary Ward, Nathan Ward's mum. Hi, Mary. Good evening, Chris. Hi to you, Mary. Great to hear from you. And obviously, Emma said roll on Monday, as you'd expect. Ben Pemberton says Monday is going to be epic. It really is. I've got the entry list in front of me and it is looking amazing. So if you haven't bought your tickets there, make sure you do. Remember, the tickets are e-tickets now, so you can buy them right up to the night before and still get that discount. None of that sort of closing, well, what was it, sort of 2/3 of a week before the race day, wasn't it? So get those tickets booked, get yourself out on the banks if you're not racing. We want to see those spectator banks full. I shall be over in the old paddock commentary box, and Marcus Pye's due in the main one. He is due on this show, but he's not shown up. I'm hoping that he's okay, because we're going to have to potentially skirt around that part of this evening's show. But I want to be able to have a good giggle with everybody. Rob Jones, the motorbike instructor and commentator extraordinaire, evening from a not-so-sunny Radstock. You're not alone there, mate. It's pretty miserable everywhere, isn't it? Lulu says, fair play, Castle Combe, for the big work done. Get the TCR still with us and the good race you set up. Yeah, we'd like TCR back. Never say never. We'll hope that they will be. Pete Spiller, evening, mate. Evening, Dawesy. Is there something on next Monday? Not sure, mate. I've heard a whisper. Looking forward to officially ending the winter break. I agree. That is so true, isn't it? Sav, evening, Chris, says Chris Savage. Good evening to you too, Chris. Hope you're well, mate. I saw you back in hospital the other day. I hope you're doing well, buddy. Fordy, evening, Dawesy. Evening, Mr. Ford. Hope you're well. Emma Mason, evening, Emma. I've just finished work and thought I'd say hi. Hi to you too, Emma. I hope you're going to get the chance to kick back a little bit now. Carl Alden says, evening, Dawesy and team, and it will be a team very shortly. Kat's waiting very patiently. Well, patiently-ish. I think she's doing work, to be honest. She just poked her tongue out at me. Goodness me. Yeah, lucky you didn't all see that. Evening, everyone, says Joe Coffin. Lee White says, evening, Dawesy. Evening to you, mate. Nathan Sutton says, I am indeed, mate. Got to see your car out there in that video, didn't we, mate? Jeff Cusworth says, evening, Dawesy. Getting excited for my 44th year of marshalling. Well done, mate. I know I don't look old enough. I was going to say that, mate. Absolutely. Can't wait for Monday. I'm like a coiled spring, albeit a slightly rusted one. Bring it on at post 7. Absolutely great to hear that, mate. And thank you again for all your hard work. Goose from the Corey Hardcore says, evening all, just warmed up after Saturday. It was bitter, wasn't it, at the Spring Action Day? Typical day at Combe. It really was bitter, that one. Tina Weston, the Hot Hatch Coordinator. I bet you're looking forward to this year, Tina. Evening all, watching from a relaxing week for hubby's birthday. Sat in a hot tub drinking cider. Now I wish I hadn't put that up, Tina, because we're all envious of that one. But have a well-deserved break, you guys. Definitely deserve that one. Emma Brown says, just finished work, now to go home and get ready for first race weekend of the year. Woohoo! Alton and Castle Combe in one weekend. Fantastic. Presumably that'll be the Saturday at Alton Park with the British GT, the qualifying days and what have you, because they race on the Monday, don't they, normally? Because I was supposed to be commentating on that, but obviously Combe takes priority. Clive Woodward, hello, mate. Can't wait. Should be great. Hi, all. Clive's on Combe 3 for that weekend, so can't wait to catch up with you then, mate. Stuart Tinker Taylor, good evening, Chris. Bring the racing on from a camp softcore fuffer fan. He certainly is, I tell you. Hopefully see you Monday. Hopefully catch up with you, mate. I should be in the paddock in the morning before heading round to Old Paddock. I would say if you walk around there, we can say hello, but you don't tend to walk. You stay set at a camp, don't you, mate? But if you do wander, that's where I'll be. Tim Perry says you should be flagging at Quarry. You might be busy there, mate. Paul Dawes, my cousin, evening, mate. Evening, cuz. Jensen and I are watching. Hi, Jensen. He probably isn't waving and speaking back yet, is he, cuz? But hey, I'll say hello to him anyway. Great to see from you guys, and hopefully see you on the weekend at Donington. Mike Good, evening, mate. Roll on this weekend. Finally got the car ready. I did see that you'd finished at last. Wonder what colour. It's got to be a boy band colour of some description, knowing you, hasn't it, mate? Sam Strong, hello, mate. Hopefully see you at Brands Hatch and possibly elsewhere this year. I see the Beamer testing went well. Evening to you as well, mate. Paul Hoskins says Castle Combe was an amazing day, apart from the hailstones, though. First time round Combe for me. So that'll have been the Spring Action Day on Saturday. I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, I was on the stage when those hailstones happened. We got absolutely soaked, and my hands just couldn't move for ages after that. Nigel Floyd says, I'm coming Monday, first time in over 30 years. Can't wait. Welcome back, Nigel. I cannot wait to welcome you back, mate. That is so good to hear. Don't make it so long next time, eh? Hi, Sue. She says, evening. So looking forward to Monday. I bet you are, Sue. I'm guessing you're going to be pretty busy, I would imagine, as well. Great to see you on Saturday at the Spring Action Day as well. Oh, no, the media day I saw you at. Sorry, wasn't it? The media day I saw you at. Ignore. Good evening, Dawes and everyone at Combe. Just wanted to say good luck to all the competitors this year. Hopefully I'll get up there at some stage to see all my old friends. Absolutely. I'm sure we'll see you up there at some point, mate. Keep those likes, comments, and whatever else coming in, because we've certainly got Nigel Floyd loving it, Andy Hall, Lynn Hoy, Tom Hawkins, and John Green have all put the thumbs up. Make sure you share this show as well. Right. Oh, one more quickly. Chris Williams says, evening, bud. Jez Williams and myself looking forward to our first year at Castle Combe Saloon Championship. Look out, 18 years old and full of testosterone. Uh-oh. What's that song? There may be trouble ahead. No, he'll be fine. He'll be fine. I will get you in a minute, Kat. Craig Cook says, hello all. Hope to be there Monday. See you there, mate. Just don't get stuck in another traffic jam on your way, mate. Nigel Jones says, marshalling at the Drift-In at Pembury on Saturday and at Post 3 at Combe on Monday. Good man. That's a busy weekend and an exciting one as well. Colin Porter says, evening, Dawes. Shame the big Jags aren't racing at Combe this season. Hopefully next year. Hope so, mate. That'll be good. Slip and Grip, evening all. Slip and Grip will be representing in the Hot Hatches, I think it is, this year as well. Look forward to that. Lulu says, can't wait for the entry list. We will talk about that, and they'll be downloadable at some point. And Lynn Hoy confirms post 1 for her. Looking forward to seeing all the cars at the start and all at the end, and nobody in between, please. I agree, absolutely. Right, it's time for me to get the co-host out. I keep going to say first guest, but she is my co-host tonight because she's got more knowledge than me about what's happening Monday. So let's bring her out, the superstar, Kat Dall'Occo. Evening, Kat.
Good evening, everybody.
That was very patient of you there. I could see you just being, well, it's not like you get a downtime, is it, to be honest with you, anyway?
No, I was looking at maps,
Yeah.
entry lists, timetables, you name it. But that's good. It's all good.
It
Coming
is
together.
indeed. Still the comments are coming in. Creechy, hello, mate. Evening, planning to be there Monday. Hope the weather will be better this year. Who knows, mate? Really no idea. And Tim Perry says the one and only Cat. There you go. So big shout out for you as well. I do believe that we're going to have to patch over that Mr. Pie hasn't appeared. So we may well not have
that's
Marcus.
a shame.
Yeah.
Shall I text him?
I've messaged him as well. So I
Have
hope,
you?
hope
Okay.
everything's okay.
Yeah.
Phil Martin says, can't wait to see you on Monday. And that, I mean, you were listening to all those messages coming in. People are a wee bit excited.
It's amazing, isn't it, actually, how it's a bit like starting the job all over again, and you forget how much administration everyone has to do at the beginning of the season, and it's so painful. And I know that it's a bit stressful for some people, but we're almost there. And the really good news is that we've literally packed so much into the timetable. So you can scrutineer, you can free warm up, you can qualify, you can literally go through a set of tyres by about 9 o'clock, I reckon, at this rate. So no, it's good. And I know that there'll be lots of questions that people have, especially those that we're going to be welcoming to the circuit or to the club for the first time, which is always nice to see. It can be a bit daunting, but I don't think for one moment there's anyone in the paddock that wouldn't be able to lend a helping hand if you've got a query or a question. Come to the Strawfords, see myself and Cheryl and Sue and the coordinators who we couldn't sort of manage without, really. Got another lovely gentleman, Chris, who's joining the team as well. So we should have some strength and support for everyone that's going to be there on Monday. For those arriving on Sunday, just be mindful that it's an Easter weekend, and just, if I can, just ask for you to pack yourselves in nice and neatly. We've got a lot of cars, drivers and people to get into the paddock on Monday. So, rather than chasing everybody around on race day, if we can start off well on Sunday night, then it should make things a bit easier when we get racing on Monday morning.
Agreed, yeah. And we have heard where people just sort of spread out and too many cars. Don't have more than you're allowed in there. Keep within your space. It needs to be policed at some point, but try to self-administer a little bit this time, and it will go a lot better. Mary Ward says, good evening, Kat.
Hello. Thank you for my birthday card.
Oh, bless. And Caroline Sutton, evening, Caroline. Hopefully I'll see you without your hood up next time. And Lulu says hi, Kat, as well, from watching on YouTube. So they're all piling in and watching. I mean, yeah, that timetable, I've just put up the link there. And in fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll also post it in the comments so that hopefully people will see it in the comments of wherever they are watching. So it's just blasted it out to wherever it's able to. And you can get the downloads, which at the moment includes the timetable and the paddock plan. And at some point, it will include the entry list on there, won't it? When will that be there?
I think I will be in a position to put them up on Thursday. So we're not racing until Monday. And the trouble is, if I put them up too early and we have lots of additions and maybe a couple of withdrawals, then people just start getting a little bit confused about what the final entry looks like. So I think Thursday, once we've done testing, because it's pre-race testing at the circuit on Thursday, then I feel comfortable about putting them up then. If anybody wants to know, if you have a Rev Up account and you are a competitor with the club, you can go in and see who's racing anyway, so you don't have to wait for the entry list to be posted online. But yeah, if everybody's happy with that, I know it's good to get them up sooner than later, but just saves a lot of extra admin if we can hold off as long as we possibly can. But there's a lot of them to put up as well.
Yeah, quite. And it does make sense, because I know, like, for example, where we prepare on the commentary side is that you need to have a point where that's the entry list and then everything after that is like bulletin entries to the additions to the entry list, because we can't keep going, oh right, is that a different entry list, where has there been an addition? So we would have already printed stuff up by then. So yes, I agree, is waiting as late as possible makes complete sense. That doesn't mean you people that are thinking about entering, you don't wait as long as you can, you get in now.
Yes,
entry.
We've got lots of Easter eggs to get through on Sunday, so if you can get them in by Friday, so much the better. But you've got the number, you know how to reach out to the club. We'll always do our best to make sure that we get you out on the grid that you want to join. Obviously, if it fits within the MS UK timescale, we're here to help you have a brilliant race experience. We're not here to kind of, do some sales prevention and stop you from actually getting out there. So the regs are all online, registration links online, and you can reach out via social media. There's lots of different ways of getting in touch. So again, I say it all the time, we are a small team. So if it seems like it's forever getting back to you and it's only been an hour, do bear with us, because it can just take a little bit of time to sort of spin all the plates and keep them up, really. But we always get there, don't we, Chris? It's weird how these magical things just suddenly come together and everybody knows what they're doing. The Marshals training was superb this year, as it always is. So thanks to Dave Weston and Ed for leading that. I certainly learned a lot, and it just goes to show that there's kind of such a big behind the scenes commitment and team that you just all rock up, and as if by magic, this race day happens. It's quite incredible. I'm still in awe of the whole thing.
If only it was just by magic, Cat, we'd all have a much easier life. But
yeah, well, I guess it feels quite magical. It feels a bit stressful, but it feels quite magical at the same time. And I'm still determined that Shirley and I will get to watch a race at some point, because it's very weird just helping everybody get their entries in. Obviously, we're keen to take people's money if we can. That helps things, helps the club and keeps things moving. But it's very difficult when it all comes together and then suddenly it's 6:30, everyone's gone home, and then Shirley and I look out of the door and we think, oh, okay, bye then. What just happened? But the feedback and the images and the communication that we get during the day, I think we both feel fairly confident that, everyone's had a good time, despite the odd challenge along the way, which is just part of motorsport, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the same the country over. I shall be commentating at Donington Park Friday, Saturday, a day off Sunday, and then at Combe on Monday. And it doesn't matter where I am. There's always the challenges. Some of them fairly similar, no matter where you are, or they have some of their own. So it is about overcoming them. Jeff Cosworth says the one and only Cat as well, by the way. But then he says Easter eggs, don't forget post 7. I think that was us eating Easter eggs on Easter Sunday rather than them being distributed, mate.
Yeah. If we've got some spare from the driver's chocolate that we give out, of course, I think that there'll be something left over for the Marshals. Don't you worry.
Yeah. Ben Pemberton says, hi, Cat, waving at you like a loon as usual. Bless him. We love Ben Pemberton.
Can I show you something nice, actually, seeing as Ben's on there as well? We've got some new... So, we've always had driver of the day trophies. We're actually going to go medal.
Oh, wow.
So it's a driver of the day. I don't know if you can see the full print on there, but CCRC Racing Club driver of the day. It's really heavy and it's on a lanyard that's got driver of the day 2024. Oh, wow. So that's quite a nice new addition. Saves a bit of room on the trophy shelf.
Yes.
And we've also got new first stickers as well. You see those?
So that's to put on the car, presumably, when they get
you can put it on the car. You can stick it on your wall at home. So it's basically to start kind of collecting. If you come first in class, this is what you'll get as well. Yeah,
and that's just a first. There's not like a second or third. We're just giving it as a little, like on the side of a plane, isn't it? Like on the side of a fighter plane.
Yeah, exactly that. Yeah, so they're all ready, and we're excited to find out who In fact, I think you and Marcus, I'm not sure who else is commentating on Monday, but
Clive.
you'll choose the driver of the day, won't you? And Clive. So, yeah, you're going to have a lot of people to choose from, Chris.
I tell you what, it's quite funny because you guys obviously get us to choose that and message through to you, because you'll kind of go, well, you're watching the race and calling it, so you'll be able to pick out who's doing it. It's like going, yeah, but we're watching so much and having to call it and then go to here and then do this and then do that we go, I don't know what we just saw. What do we pick out? And it can be really hard at times.
Yeah, I'll bet.
But yeah, we managed to sort of whittle it down somehow, don't we? I think we kind of almost pick a driver per race and then get to the end of the day and go, right, which one stuck out the most? Which is so hard.
Definitely.
Many deserving winners that you know it's hard to whittle it down, isn't it? But there we go.
I mean, the other thing I'm keen to know as well is that we often don't get a chance to find out from people watching Combe TV what they need to know. I'm keen to impart information, but actually sometimes there's a really sensible or valid question that somebody might have for the club, not necessarily for the commentary team, but certainly for the club that maybe they haven't had chance to ask. So if tonight anybody wants to, fire anything at us, if we can't answer it straight away, we can always get back to you.
Absolutely right. Yeah, I agree. Medic Mason says, evening all, sorry, can't be with you tonight in another meeting. We'll accept that, mate. And Kieran Simmons waves, and I'm hoping we're going to see him back out racing at some point soon. Hopefully it will be eventually. Pete Spiller says, be careful for your position here, Dawesy. This co-host makes difficult tasks look easy. Yeah, but it's my job to make easy tasks look difficult. We compliment each other like that, Kat, don't we? We do.
It's probably because I moaned the last time because you didn't need me for anything. So I had a little bit of a wobble and said, what about me? So I'm sure that's nothing to do with it.
No, it's not. It's genuinely not, because I justified that one to you, and that was fine. Just very quickly, because I'm going to get our first guest out, the legendary Jonathan Wills, who has got even more involved this year. But before I do that, I'm just going to go back to, you did make the comment about the packed timetable. So if you've not seen it, we've got 2 free practice sessions to start with, an open wheel warm-up and a closed wheel warm-up. So that's 8:30, 10 minutes, and 8:50 for 10 minutes. We then get into qualifying, the Gulf Race Fuels Formula Ford 1600, the South Cerney Engineering Saloon Car Championship. Do you like the sound of that, John? I can see him in the background. Yeah, he's nodded there. He likes the sound of that. The 500 owners, the Formula 500, so the 500 Owners Association qualifying. The Gulf Racing Fuels GT Championship, because they now sponsor that one as well. The Samco Sport Hot Hatch Championship, and then the final qualifying session is at 11:30, which is the CMMC Super Saloon and Tin Tops, and the Welsh Racing Drivers Association Championship as well. And we get 2 races in before lunch. So we've got the Formula Fords in their 10-lap race, and the South Cerney Engineering Saloon Car Championship with their first of the doubleheader as well, 15-lap race. Lunch break, which includes a grid walk, time permitting and weather permitting, I'd imagine, for the 500 Owners Associations to get up close and personal to these incredible Formula 500s. And they are then obviously the first race after lunch, a rolling start, 15-minute race. Then it's the GTs, the Hot Hatches, the Super Saloons, Tin Tops and WRDA. Then it's the second race for the Formula Fords, the South Cerney Engineering Saloon Car Championship, Super Saloons, Tin Tops and WRDA, 500 Owners Association, Gulf Racing GTs, and Samco Sport Hot Hatch Championship to round out the action. I mean, crikey, that just took my breath away trying to go through it, Kat.
Yep. And we've got a 10 and a 15-minute alternate turnaround. So best behavior, everybody, if you don't mind. It's a bit tight. I don't want the person ringing me at sort of 27 minutes past 6 in the evening saying, I hope you're going to turn that noise down. But I'm sure it'll be fine.
You sounded just like one of them then as well.
It's probably me ringing myself because I want to go home.
It could be. Kieran Simmons says he is there on Monday, not racing, but in a medic car. Okay, so you're driving that one. Good man. Well, we'll see you there for that one, mate. That's a step in the right direction to get you there. Should we get our first guest out, Kat?
Yeah, let's
our only guest as well, but let's get him ready. It's so good not only to see him out, We've seen him racing out recently in things like an MG Maestro Turbo. But as a boyhood fan of the Saloon Car Championship, he's actually put his company as the title sponsor for it, which we're always eternally grateful. And there's a whole story, an emotional connection to it that's enabled it. So let's bring out Jonathan Wills. Evening, John.
Hello, Chris. Hello, Kat.
Hello.
Thank you for inviting me on. That's very kind of you and much appreciated. And,
Hey,
yeah,
the least we can do. Are you still at work?
Of course. Where else would I be?
I'm loving the wall there. That's some great pictures you got there.
Well, there's a reason why the Maestro's green and yellow.
Okay.
That's because, in my opinion, probably the greatest driver that ever lived drove a green and yellow car a long time ago now. But
tell everybody who is your favourite.
So Jim Clark, if anyone reads, but the thing about Jim Clark is he would jump in any car from a saloon, and I think that's one of the shame with the Formula One stars today. We only see them in their multi-million-pound self-driving electric powered things, but Jim would jump in a Cortina, Lotus Cortina. He also won the Indy 500, rallying. So his breadth of driving skill didn't matter what he jumped in, and his contemporaries are the ones that state he was probably best. That's from Fangio, Stewart, Hill, and also what's amazing about the guy, his epitaph or his headstone. It says first thing on his headstone is farmer. Yes. And Formula One World Champion. He actually loved just looking after his sheep. The motor racing was a secondary thing, which is fabulous, isn't it?
Yeah, one of those guys that I feel gutted that I never got to meet, because you hear so many wonderful stories from some big names, don't you? So, and I can't remember whether I knew that was the reason for the colouring of the Maestro or not. I'll come on to the cars and the racing, but I want to start with really the biggest reason I wanted to get you on. By the way, Tim Perry says hi, John, one of our Orange Army. South Cerney Engineering, your company, and you stepped up. It was lovely to be able to announce that hot off the press on Saturday at the media day. You decided that you want to get in and support a championship that you've even watched from the spectators' banks, haven't you?
So, yeah, I mean, one of my first trips to Combe when I was very young, and I remember some of the first racing I saw there, which was the Renault 5 GT Turbo Championship, visited, and then obviously the Castle Combe Saloons. So from a very young age, I remember watching that championship there. And also, you very much remember the sponsors attached to that championship. So we go back to Paget that sponsored it, Handy Gas, Mobile Windscreens. So sponsors that attach themselves to championships that get mentioned in the press and people come to watch, they very much get ingrained in history. And one of the advantages of being a sponsor is that you stay, you're attached to that for in perpetuity, So, and we, South Cerney Engineering was a company my brother and myself took over about 4 years ago. It's a company that started around the end of the Second World War, and we'd actually Maestro was sponsored by the company back in the mid-90s, and we'd used that company to make bits for the car. So our association with the company and the championship go back for a long time. And the company was going to be wound up, and we rescued it because it was allied to our restoration company, which is Cotswold Classic Car Restorations. And we use it for doing head refacing, crank regrinding, block honing, boring. And we need the service, and it was a shame to lose it. So my brother and myself decided, perhaps we should take it over and try and put some energy back into the company. And on the back of that, and obviously the attachment with Combe Saloons, we got some people thinking that the company had actually folded and had actually wound up. A lot of customers said, didn't know you were still going. So this was this is probably one of the best ways to put out there that the company's very much alive and kicking, and what better way locally and nationally? You know, you'll be in the national press, you're in the local press, you're in, obviously Combe is less than an hour away from us. So it ticks a lot of boxes to be involved. And Kat and Max have been really nice to deal with. We know the Combe circuit is one of the friendliest nationally, very inviting, and there's a lot of energy around Castle Combe now with the new sponsors coming on board, with all the work that's going on in around there. It's a place you actually want to be involved with. You know, it's really changed and is changing a lot. So as a company to be involved, it's almost a no-brainer, really. So I feel lucky that we can be involved and have our name as a title sponsor. So thank you, Kat.
You're welcome.
No, and obviously thank you as well. And you know, I know from chatting to you, it is quite and it's really good to hear that, because that makes sense from a business perspective, but also knowing that it's quite an emotive thing for you as well. You know, you love being able to race in it, you enjoyed watching it, you like now being able to sponsor it, and are you out racing in it this year?
So this year, yeah. So a couple of years ago, we had a catastrophic engine failure, which happens in sport, especially in the Combe saloons. Turbo engines are being boosted into infinity and beyond, and you need to be working those engines hard to be at the front. So that took us out. And then last year we were hoping to race, but actually the amount of energy that the business required and reinvestment and retraining and stuff that was going into that. So that always takes more time than you think. So as much as you want to go off and play with race cars, you've got to have everything funded properly. So however, the engine is now rebuilt. It's going to go off to a dyno cell to be mapped properly, which should be done over the next week or so, and then hopefully we'll be out later in the season. So we sponsor the car, which is great, but you know, even though the car isn't going to make the first race, so we're still involved with the championship. So again, it ticks that box of being involved with these championships as a company. Because this championship is very engineering orientated, all those cars are very well engineered. There's a lot of work that goes into them. As an engineering company that does that sort of work, again, it's good to be involved.
And apologies if you said it then. I just got my eye got caught by a message I put up on screen in a second. Is it the Maestro that you'll be racing again?
Yeah, so the MG Maestro Turbo, which I think is now the longest serving car in that championship from about the mid-90s. It's been in there. Same car, same shell, same everything. Wow. So it's and it's a bit of a pet project, really, in that if we're able to bring a car that in a way is elderly compared to the rest of the competition, and you're able to drag it somewhere up the front, that's quite cool. You know, if you're up there and you're competing, you're doing something, I hope people like that. If we're able to, I mean, it's only an 8-valve turbo against all the 16-valve turbos, so it's handicapped in many ways. So it's a bit of fun to see what we can do with it.
Indeed, yeah, absolutely. I'm guessing that this is a relation. Evelyn Will says, I'm excited.
Yes, that's my daughter. So she, unbeknown to her, she's going to be very busy across this year.
So the excitement might wane a little bit then.
No, I don't. I think everyone's like, you know, when you're racing, and the other competitors, I'm sure will feel the same, is that you go there and, you know, if you win, great. If you do well, great. And if things don't go your way, you actually still leave the circuit with a lot of energy that you were going to get home, you're going to work on that car, you're going to sort this out, you're going to do better next time. So I think all the competitors would probably identify that with me, that whether you have a good day or a bad day competition-wise, you've had that experience, and it is a lot of work to go out there and do. And we're a very small percentage of people prepared to make that effort. And you know, the fact that we do go out there and do that, I think gives you a bit of a buzz as well. You know, we're and as a competitor. So yeah, it's a big ask to campaign during the course of the season. And if you go out there and do it, yeah, it's a feather in your cap as an individual.
Absolutely right. Hence, someone who knows that well, Sean Deacon says, even and all, can't wait to get racing. Looking forward to seeing them, mate. Different class this year as well, bud. So I look forward to that. Alan Jenkins picks up on your Jim Clark comment. He said, well said, John. Still leads GP Grand Slams, apparently.
Yeah, absolutely. He is 100%. Yeah, incredible. Still holds records. Yeah.
Absolutely superb. One of the things we briefly touched on, John, that it would be good to just get you slightly expand on, is that you were saying that one of the other reasons for wanting to get involved, the South Surney Engineering name, is that how there. And someone was telling me this the other day, is that there seems to be a waning number of youngsters getting involved in engineering, and there's a real desire for you to sort of like bring it, but I don't know, bring it back into fashion again. Is that, I don't know whether that's the right way to say it.
I'd use the term crisis. There is an absolute crisis especially for South Surney Engineering, to find people that want to stand at a crankshaft grinder or boring, block honing, and the maths and intellect that's required to work to thousandths of an inch putting this stuff right. It's technically a very challenging job. It's very rewarding, but we live in a world that's going away from us. It's more software based, and and we are really struggling to recruit people into industry. It's not promoted enough in the education, early education, that computers are great and fantastic, but actually very, very few people are capable to machine a crankshaft and not have it tailing off, or and I'm hoping that we're going to come up with some more ideas, hopefully with Kat and Max, on how we can use the championship in different ways to promote engineering of what we in our sphere, if you like. And we're looking at recruiting from South Africa. We run adverts to, but it's not only me, it's all my industry. So what happens is that right across the UK, there's lots of little engineering companies like South Surney that were boring and servicing local garages, skimming cylinder heads, crank grinding, when they would rebuild engines. Now, a large number of these companies are now going by the wayside. People are retiring. The sons don't want to take the business over. And they're saying the machinery is being sold off. The machinery is going abroad. It's being sold abroad. Machine shops are shutting up. So if you went back 20 or 30 years, looked at South Surney, and then looked at its competitors in the area expanding out over 50 miles, and now look at what there is. We got people bringing work to us from Newcastle, from Cornwall, that ring us up. We can't, and they're saying to me, we can't find anybody to do this. Can you help? And it's like, yeah, we can. But then they're asking, when can you do it? It's like, well, we don't really have, we're working to 10, 11 o'clock every night trying to keep, So if we can somehow help spread the word or show what's involved and show the rewarding parts of the job, and so like I say, how we can encourage people, and through the sport as well, that would be good. So,
well, I mean, I think I remember now the conversation with someone that's saying that they've been waiting for like X number of years to get their engine rebuild back, and I was like, well, why are you leaving it with that person or that company then? Why can't you go somewhere else? And they're going, because there's very few, and they're so busy that it's taking that long for them to get through everything, etc., because people are, the youngsters are kind of going, well, how much longer is left in that, working on these true engines, real engines, before we go, like you say, computer or electric cars or everything. And it's this difficult situation. And yet there is so much work there that's an oversimplification of the situation. There's still longevity in there. I mean, Peggy Spackman, whose fiance does a lot with Wiltshire College, says the college students are always looking for places to do work experience as part of their course, but can never find anywhere to take them on within the motorsport industry. And it's like a really tricky situation, isn't it? It's not, like you say, there's not enough places out there still doing it, and there's not enough youngsters learning how to do it to carry it on.
We would love to find the right youngsters, and we have approached local. I mean, I'll speak to Peggy maybe later, which would be interesting. So we've had instances where, so for instance, the last work experience kid that came to us, his father came in on the second day, and I can't remember the kid's name, but basically said Johnny doesn't like doing this, so he won't be in again. And that was his work experience. How chance have we got? So what's frustrating though is that kid took something away from someone that may want to do it. I mean, the person before that was a 19-year-old, and he came in and he came in at about midday it was, and he said, I'm looking for a job. He'd rebuilt his motorbike engine and everything. I said, great. So I sort of brought him into the workshop and I said, look, if you can work with that guy this afternoon, just do what you're told, listen to what you say. If you don't know what you're doing, ask questions. That'd be great. I was quite direct because I don't really have time. So he said, okay, I'll go and see my mum and then I'll come back. Cool, that's great. He never come back.
Wow, really?
He just disappeared. So, and we have been through we had a really bright kid. He did 2 weeks work experience and he was really sharp, really switched on, and everyone that worked with him complimented him. And he came in after 2 weeks and he said, I've changed my mind, I want to go filmmaking. And he went. And so if we're able to be fed by Wiltshire College, people that appreciate what it takes. And you don't learn it. You don't learn it in 2 or 3 years of an apprenticeship, 5 years of an apprenticeship. We lost a gentleman called Jeff. He was about 70, 72 years old. And he worked for South Certainly since 1970, basically. Nearly 50 years he'd done there. And every time we worked on an engine, it's like, my brother would say to him, like, Jeff, we got to, whatever the engine might be. And he goes, well, if that's a 1938 model, you'll need to machine it from left to right. Otherwise, you'll crack the block on those. And it would just be this constant stream. And he picked that up over a lifetime. And what's really sad, he sadly passed away suddenly. If we could have downloaded that knowledge, but you don't. So it's, if we can encourage people and if we can integrate that with racing, with the excitement of racing and competing and developing engines and pushing them to their limits and also the classic side of motoring. And I will say there is a very bright future for anybody that wants to do this, because there's not many people doing it. And you think Goodwood Festival, or these ICE, these internal combustion engines, they're not going anywhere. I'm firmly convinced we're not going to be driving electric. Electric will make, say, 20% of the market, but hydrogen engines are lots of news stories about BMW and Mercedes going down the hydrogen route, because it doesn't make sense to be lugging around a ton of batteries to supply your motive power when a little tank of fuel like that will do it for you. It doesn't make sense.
And we've got synthetic fuels being talked about very strongly. And I've commentated on races where the whole field was deliberately on synthetic fuels. And in actual fact, they were slightly quicker. Really? Breaking lap records. But that's still not being made economically enough for us to be able to afford in the same way. But if we can do it, well, then, of course, that means it's the same combustion engines, and so
there is for anyone who wants to come into engineering, there's a real bright future. There's a very good pay packet for you at the end of the day, because through scarcity, as you just alighted to there, you had the person waiting for their engine to be built, and you can't go anywhere else. And that's why that person said to you, well, where do I take it? Essentially you're embarrassed because you're making the person wait so long to do it. But they can't just say, well, I'll just go down the road and take it away, because there is no one just down the road. So hopefully,
sorry, John, I was going to say I love the comments that are coming in, because Pete, you're really hitting the nail on the head with people here. Joe Shingler says, well done, John, good to see you on board at Combe. User on YouTube called Castle Combe Marshall says, respect to John for not blaming social media and Xboxes. We're responsible for creating the next generation of specialists, and John's proactive approach is just what young adults need. What a lovely comment that one is.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah. Thank you. It is a crisis we're in, because when I speak to an engineer, and I was at a company called Hydrologic today in Swindon. They manufacture hydraulic rams, you know, and exactly the same conversation with this chap, you know, about bringing people into engineering. So if we can encourage, you know, earlier in the schooling, if you know, if there was a balance. And I actually remember I was in Tavistock Comprehensive, is where I went in the 80s, and there was a machine shop there with engines and lathes and end mills, and it was all, and they'd wound it up. It was about 87, 88. And I really wanted to go and work and see how an engine was taken apart. And there was never a class for it. They must have wound it up a few years earlier. And, you know, I'm not the greatest person academically. That's my brother. That's his job. But I just remember like, oh, wow, I wanted to do that. So if we could, in secondary education, you know, if someone is more practical and they want, you know, not everyone wants to do maths, you know, to their 18. If we can, you know, if someone is practically, or, you know, want to go down that route, and we're encouraged to use their hands and use machinery and produce something and sell something with your hands, that we should be encouraging that, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. Nathan Sutton says, good to see old companies going. It's the skills that aren't getting taught anymore.
Yeah.
I think they're getting taught, but then being left too early, you know, it's dropping off. Like, I mean, you were just talking about maths. Is like, don't just make it feel like we're doing maths for the sake of it. Make people realize what that maths can lead on to, because they don't necessarily join that maths with engineering, do they? Whereas it's a vital staple for it as well.
So the reason why I mentioned maths is in the mid-90s, we'd gone and watched the Castle Combe Saloon Car Championship. I remember writing a letter to Tiff and Dale saying that I wanted to go and race, and should it be a single-seater or should it be a saloon car? And he wrote back a really nice letter and a load of stuff explaining, you know, for a career in motorsport, you really want to go down the single-seater. Set up on a saloon car is a bit of a black art. Well, you know, being the sort of person I am, I totally ignored all his good advice and bought one of the most awkward saloon cars you could buy, because nothing had been developed for it. So when we went to saloons to race, the reason why we decided to race Maestro Turbo was when you looked at 0 to 60 times, you know, this is very schoolboy stuff. So you looked at all the 0 to 60 times on the fastest front-wheel drive hot hatch. So Renault 5 turbos, RS turbos, Astra GTEs. The MG Maestro Turbo was the quickest thing by like half a second, and we thought, great, that'll win. We'll build that and it'll win. But of course, we built it and it broke down.
Yeah.
So as soon as you turn the boost up, it broke. And with the Peugeot 205s, they're also well developed with Richard Longman engines and stuff. And there was the Coxes were racing there very successfully, and Tim Hamlin. These are really quick cars back in the day. And Mark Wyatt was there with a Saab 9000 turbo, I think it was. So my brother, he's a few years younger than me, and we spoke to a few companies. Can you help us tune this thing to make it quick? And they were basically laughing at us, like, go and buy a Cosworth, go and buy a quick car, you know. So we were like, so our attitude was, well, sod you, we'll prove you wrong, we'll make it quick. So I said to my brother, well, you go and learn race car engineering, and I'll earn the money to buy the bits to go on the car. So when we looked into universities and what had for race car engineering, which was the best one appeared, or where we wanted to go at the time, I won't say the best one, that's wrong. So at the time, he ended at Oxford Brookes. I did look at Swansea Institute, but he ended up going to Oxford Brookes. But what he needed to enter into that was what he needed was, you know, very good maths. So he stayed on and did A-level maths and became, you know, very highly educated, because engineering is maths based. And that's how it went. And then he ended up going up to Brookes, and then we were working with people there, such as Jeff Goddard, who helped us develop the engine as well. When we had problems, he helped us problem solve, or he'd make us sort it out ourselves, make us find the solution. And that's why I mentioned sort of maths, and then it led him into Formula One and working for McLaren and people like that. And interestingly, in that time, Formula One changed. So in the early 90s, there was quite small groups of people run the teams. Now the teams are 800 plus people, and you're just part of a committee. So the cars built, apart from Adrian Newey, the rest of the cars are designed by committee. So he actually gets more fun working in club motorsport than in professional motorsport.
I can believe it. I definitely can believe it. It doesn't surprise me at all. Alan Jenkins says, John, what fantastic comments. The industry needs people like you.
Oh, thanks, Alan. Thank you.
And Mike Cotton says, not everyone is cut out for university. We need more technical and trade courses.
Yeah, I agree 100% that maths for me is hopeless. I'm not great academically, but then, if you set a task and practically you understand the task, that's where you sort of, your courses, your day release or whatever, are really good for those people. Because again, like I say, someone might be able to do something very practically, but they're dyslexic or whatever, and they just can't, but they know how to do it. So what we want to do is try and encourage people in the most friendly way and allow them to find their way using their own skills, what comes to them naturally. And, point putting a square peg in a round hole, so we want to encourage every way we can and being inclusive as we can, which Combe is, Castle Combe is a circuit, and Kat and her team around her are very, such a friendly team. And anything you got, any questions or anything, they're always so helpful. And that's worth mentioning. That's worth mentioning.
Agreed. I agree, definitely. I love the phrase, picking up on you saying about the square peg in a round hole, is that one of the bugbears I have with education, my daughter's 12, so she's now in secondary school, is that they seem to just be hell-bent on teaching fish to climb trees. It's like that not everyone's built to go and do the same thing, and we need to give that freedom of finding out, and that's, I'm very, very passionate about that as well. Ben Pemberton Racing, very special guy, this guy that we'll hopefully get on at some point, because he is championing autism in motorsport, he being autistic himself, and we'll have him on at some point, because it's a big thing to champion. And he says, really well said, John. I'm not quite a youngster anymore, but I have a passion for motorsport and I have an engineering diploma, including manual machining. Could I help at all?
Of course, 100%. In any way we can encourage people, because it's not even necessarily, we got so many customers coming to us. If you want to give your customers a solution, so if they come to you, we need this done by 3 weeks time. If you're like, well, we're not physically able to do it, but we can take it to Ben down the road, he could sort it for you. It's about providing a solution. There's enough work out there for everybody, but we don't even have anybody we could hand it over. That's this is where we need lots of little machine shops up and running, and there's some very, very talented individuals, and they work out their garages. They've got little lathes and end mills and bits and pieces, and a lot of this stuff can be done in a relatively small space. You don't need huge garage space, because you're not doing whole cars, you're doing bits of cars, and then the machinery to do it. So there's a local chap to us, very, very talented, just works out of his shed, earns very good money, seems to have far too many holidays, so I don't know how he's managing now. So
that's because there's not enough of him, so he's able to
my answer to Ben is like, shoot us an email at Southern Engineering, or we'll catch up at Combe one day and have a chat and see what you've been doing. So please. I'm hoping to be at Combe on Monday and have a chat with people and just introduce myself, and so come and say hello, and like I say, hopefully Kat and me and Max can think about doing other things with the championship and other little bits that we. So I don't want to just be putting stickers on cars. I want to be, if we can be a little bit more involved and think about ways that we can get the competitors or the spectators, give them some other experiences as well through South Cerny. That would be good.
Well, I think, I was expecting to have a sort of, 15-minute chat with you about sponsorship and racing and everything, but it's opened up a really hot topic that I could be speaking to you for ages. The comments coming in are just fantastic seeing all this. I mean, we've got Steve Price says, saw the Maestro at the media day hiding in its trailer. Looking forward to seeing it out racing again this year. The Rover Vitesse parked alongside it was awesome as well. I love the SD ones. They are just awesome piece cars.
They're lovely, right? Yeah.
That's another one of yours, isn't it? So that was
Yeah.
lovely. That
Yeah,
was lovely to see out.
Yeah.
Tim Perry says, I always find it easier to learn by doing than from books. Absolutely agree with that. I had a tour round. Obviously, I live in Swindon, and we've got at Swindon College, you've got the Institute of Technology, sort of own building and own thing. And the setup they got for engineering in there, they gave me a tour around it. It's just incredible. They got these whole one bit that's like these whole bays with these curtains that go across where you can learn welding. You've then got all the machining shops with just the setup in there is just incredible. So hopefully it's sort of like they're really trying to put a lot of effort into this. Another one of our Orange Army, Chris Rear says, Sir Bernard Lovell School did this in the early 70s. I did 3 days at school and 2 days at Soundwell College doing engineering.
Oh, wow. So that's exactly what he's on. Yeah, that's what he's talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Sam Strong gets his little and started early. My little girl is 4, the best garage helper I've ever known. She'll take an apprenticeship. Your wife's pregnant again, mate. I'm happy to hear that, but he's abusing his wife, saying that she's going to be rolled out like an Oompa Loompa by the sounds of that. Don't get yourself in trouble, mate. Don't get yourself in trouble. John, I mean, Kat, is there anything that you wanted to add to this? Because, I mean, I could just have John chatting about this all blooming night.
No, I think, I mean, for me, I don't have that technical knowledge or experience of the sort of motorsport world, but I think it's probably clear, really. It's about building those relationships with people, isn't it? And, you know, I don't have the answers to lots of these things, but if I know for sure that the most experienced people that I will ever deal with will be the drivers and the mechanics. So, you know, if we can be there to help sort of facilitate, you know, a good relationship with the circuit and, you know, look at sponsorship opportunities and engaging more people to come and race, then, it makes me feel a bit anxious, actually, that I know so little about, you know, the workings of a car. But I guess for me, that probably isn't majorly important because, you know, we can make sure that everyone else just gets to the track and you guys do the rest. And that's why you have great mechanic teams behind you as well. So, no, it's fascinating, really. I don't think we probably spend enough time hearing about what the cars are all about. Do you know what I mean? We think about the people, but we don't necessarily hear about the history and the passion and, you know, the kind of how these things all come together. And, you know, I look at a set of regulations and I just think, oh, I'm glad somebody else knows what they mean because I certainly don't. And there's just, you know, there's a lot to think about, but clearly everybody is very experienced and, you know, wants to learn, wants to have a good time. So, I'm pardon?
Yeah, all the right contacts, you know, that's the thing that we're touching on. They either want to know themselves and be able to do it, or they want to have the contacts that can do the bits that they don't know, which is why you get people sending their cars off to engine builders and things like that.
And I think also what's really nice, I noticed this briefly at Media Day, the amount of interaction from the customers who came as potential spectators who were able to look at the cars and speak with the drivers and look at the engines. I mean, you don't have to be a race driver, do you, to actually enjoy what's in front of you? You know, there are so many, for some people, it's sensory, it's the touch, the smell, the sound, the people, the passion. So all of those things together with some great machinery, then it's kind of a winning formula, really, isn't it?
It really is. There's no question. I mean, John, you must, if you're going to be there on Monday, you're going to love seeing those Formula 500s there that were there on the first race day or at Castle Combe.
Well, first of all, I want to say with Kat, I mean, she's sometimes a bit critical on her lack of knowledge of the cars, but what Kat brings to Combe is so important, and she does such an incredible job of bringing everyone together, and she's so approachable in that. So we're lucky that she's there bringing the championship together, and I'm sure with her help, she's encouraging these grids to grow. So we're very lucky that she's at Combe, and with her nature and that, I there's more than just mechanics and drivers needed to make the day work. So
Thank you.
No, thank you, because we're all passionate about this, and we need everybody to help us to make it work, from the marshals to even the catering staff, to make the day work. These people are all, special. And then obviously all the people that help us go take the cars there, or, I've got a great team behind me that will come out and support me, from my sister to Teresa to Matt, you can't do it on your own. You do need the help of these people, and it is their day that they're giving up for you to then, to do what you want to do.
Yeah.
One of the things I love a lot about Combe is that you can just walk around the machinery, and when you go to a Formula One race, you just herd around like cattle, and it's quite remote. And from the early days of when I used to go back in the early 90s or whatever, it changed so much over 10 years, to the point of you were just not connected with it. But with Combe, you can walk up to a single seater, and as an engineer, and you look at it and think, oh, what have they done there? What have they, and it's just brilliant that you can, at saloons, and you can walk up and you can chat to the mechanics, and we get some really special machinery up there over the years. And you can just walk right up to it, and that's so brilliant. And then you can just walk on the bank and be with just a few yards from the action, and you can see large parts of the circuit. So and that, I think, that is worth letting the spectators know to come. And I think we're going to see a resurgence of crowds and fuller grids over the next few years.
I hope so.
Yeah, with all the work. I mean, the entrance is wonderful that they've done there. It's really made such a difference. But you feel like you're going into a venue now.
Which was the whole goal. Definitely, that was the whole intention. There's no question. That's what they were aiming for, and it does look brilliant there. That the team, the work they've done there. I mean, just to wrap up, then, John. As I say, I hope you don't mind. I could carry on chatting forever, but I got no, exactly. But I know Monday you're kind of like seeing a little bit and appearing there, but generally speaking, once you get there racing in the paddock, people can come and speak to you from the engineering perspective. So they might be spectators, marshals, other teams, whatever. And if there's that, trying to pick up on your passion of getting more people involved in engineering, is that they come and speak to you and either ask questions or even give their side, whatever it might be. But starting those conversations is the important thing.
100%. So we've got a young lad coming on. He's actually coming up from Tavistock, my hometown. His mum spoke to me and said, my lad's really into Formula One, gets up 4 o'clock in the morning, watches the races. His name's Samuel Pearson. She said, could he come up here to do work experience? He's about 14. And I said, yeah, absolutely. My brother has done that route into designing in that world. So I said, come and work with us for a week, speak to my brother. He'll give you an understanding of what you need to be doing while you're at school, to facilitate your passion. So anyone else in the paddock who want to have a chat, if they're youngsters are interested, and we may well do some open days at South Cerney to the general public and just show them what we do in bits and pieces. And it would be nice to aim it at people that may be bored with their desk job, or maybe want to be a bit more involved, or maybe you just want to buy a hobby lathe and go home and turn some bits on a lathe. It's very therapeutic. So if we can encourage and try and grow the engineering sort of natter around the circuit, and that would be great. And obviously, all being well, we should be racing that Maestro during the course of the season and testing it. And people always welcome to come up and have a chat. So either Matthew or myself, he's the brains of the gang. So I'm the talking head. He's a sensible one. So
I got you. Yeah. I know that sounds like my marriage, to be honest with you. Jamie Peters Ennis says, great to hear from John. It was fabulous to see his Maestro Turbo out in the saloons over the last decade, especially his battles with the much missed Annie King in MG.
Yeah, bless her.
Yeah, obviously fantastic. Jamie did a lot of work with Annie, so he's
we had some fast girls in the championship, Ilse Cox and Anne King. They're great people to race alongside, and and their husband are greatly missed. Yeah,
absolutely. Well, John, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I appreciate that. I know I've kept you longer than I told you I was going to, but I think that's because we both got into a nice flow there, and it was wonderful to sort of get that information. And you saw from the comments that it really resonated with a lot of people. Oh, my good friend from Scotland says he used to have a gold maestro back in the day. That's the way to do it. Get something different. But John, thank you so much for your support of the championship. And your ongoing battle to sort of bring engineering back to the fore and see if we can grow it back out again. Let us know if you're going to have these open days. I think it's fair to say, Kat, isn't it? Let us know when they're there, because it makes sense for us to promote when they're going to happen.
Absolutely. Always looking for social content, things that might be interesting, that have a connection with, with the club, with the racing world, with people absolutely. And passion. Yeah.
And we're hoping that we can grow the grids in the Combe saloons. I mean, I remember racing there was 45 cars. We had 4 or 5 reserves when we did turn up. And it's one of the fastest saloon car championships in the country. There is some ferocious machinery out there. And it's had some tremendous battles over the years with the likes of Norris and Preble and Keith Murray in their turbocharged machinery. And and we want to, hopefully we can, with a title sponsor, we can encourage some more competitors come out and get some really quick machines out there for people to enjoy. So
well, very quickly to whip through this entry list for the saloons, it makes sense while you're still sat there. So Class A, we got Harrison Chamberlain out in his Golf GTI, Dave Spiller in the Audi TT. They found some good speed over the winter apparently. Bill Brockbank in his new Seat Leon Cooper that looked gorgeous on the
We saw that. It did look lovely. Yeah.
Beautiful, wasn't it? And he's leaving that paint job as it is now, apparently. Beautiful. It's just stunning. Adam Preble in that indecently quick Vauxhall Astra. It'd be great to see that back out again. Yeah. Pete Elliston in the Volkswagen Golf GTI. Class B, now this one intrigues me. Daniel Williams out in the Grant Motorsport prepared Audi A1.
Oh, that's new.
They think this is going to be an absolute rocket ship. If you think Simon Thornton Norris in that Mitsubishi Colt, it's as powerful as that, but slightly lighter.
Wow, that's going to be a tool then.
I think it's going to be a beast, that Audi A1, so keep an eye out for that one. Leon Hopkins in a BMW 318 Ti. And the final Class B car at the moment, Corey Webber in his Renault Clio. Class C, James Keeping in his MG-ZR. Peugeot 106 of Jez Williams, we heard from his dad earlier. James Blake back out in his MG-ZR. Oliver Sprague in an MG-ZR. Lee Waterman, MG-ZR. And
good to see the MGs out there.
Another MG-ZR at the hands of Wayne Rushworth. I mean, I've heard that they are just a brilliant car to race by the sounds of it.
They're fun,
Mike Goods out in his Vauxhall Corsa, of course, looking to defend that #1 that he proudly will have on the side of his car this year.
Excellent.
And in Class E, Shane Taylor, and it looks like, Kat, this is a shared car. Shane Taylor and Dean Beckett out in a BMW E46.
Yeah, they're coming along. They're going to come and try the championship, so they come along as an invitation car. That sort of came in yesterday after sort of a nice long conversation about what the Saloon Car Championship had to offer, where they race normally. Did they think it was going to fit what they were looking to do? I think they've both been to Combe before in various capacities with track and stuff, but so that'll be good. And although they're joining the invitation class, with a bit of luck, who knows, one of the two of them may decide that they want to come and sort of join the championship fully for the season, which would be great.
Assuming they're doing a race apiece in that car then, or something like that.
That's the plan, which you can do in the invitation class, obviously, so it won't sort of affect any championship points for all the other drivers that are taking part. So, I think, again, it's something that's sort of quite new to me, but if I start a conversation with somebody who expresses an interest in joining a grid, whilst I might not be able to answer all those questions, I'll do my absolute best to ensure that they have the information and they know where they might fit, and that come and try. And yeah, I think I kind of had the feeling this week that there seems to have been some really nice increased positivity. So I think that, you know, the media and open day probably gave us more exposure than perhaps we would have had maybe this time last year. And I know it's tough out there. You know, there's been a lot of talk about, you know, people sort of really thinking twice about, you know, spending their money on that hobby. But yes, so to answer your question in short, they are new to us. I think they've raced with the 750 Motor Club and Classic Sports Car Club previously. Okay. So yeah, look forward to welcoming. I think we've got 3. So Liam and Ollie, they're both new to the swimming.
No,
Ollie,
Liam. Yeah, sorry, I thought you meant
Ollie,
in the invitation class. Yeah, and Oliver Sprague. Yeah, they're new to me.
So they're both new to the Saloon Car Championship as well. So it'd be great, you know, to have some new fresh people that we can welcome to the family.
I think things are a little bit less tight. People are prepared to spend money and come back because the numbers seem to be up already across the country. Yeah. So the appetite's back there, and that's great news if we're tapping into that. But these two coming from Walton on Thames, Shane Taylor and Dean Beckett. So I mean, John, sounds like a move in the right direction. That those grid numbers and the kind of exciting cars.
It's really good, and it's nice that Kat's made that invitation class just to invite people to come along and try it. That's a really nice thing to do, and it shows sort of you know, being you know, inclusive and say come and have a go. You know, that's great.
Well, I guess you want, you know, does anybody want to be out on a grid with small numbers? I'm guessing not. I'm guessing you know it's a good opportunity for people to perfect their skill, and the spectators have more enjoyment, don't they? So yeah.
I'm sure
let's see what happens after qualifying.
I'm sure racers would agree with me. Like, there's nothing better than racing against other cars, being very close, overtaking, undertaking, and that sense of you know, the adrenaline you get when you're either following or trying to overtake or trying to defend or whatever it might be. You know, we don't want to be trundling around there on our own, you know, in fresh air. It's, you know, unless you want to go for a hot lap specialist. So yeah, if you've got other people out there in relatively similar machinery that you can play with and have a damn good tussle and a chat with afterwards, that's what we're looking for. So grid numbers are really important, and the right sort of machinery that also the crowd enjoying. So that BMW was an E46, I think you said. Yeah. Crowd are going to identify that. The A1 Audi there, that's a nice modern car to have out there. That's going to be interesting how that goes. So you want you know, machinery that's going to encourage a crowd to cheer on what they're looking for, and yeah, that's great.
Yeah, they can relate to it, can't they? And I got to say, in the commentary box, I want more, and I want more action. So you know, this excites me. Dan Williams, who's out in that Audi A1, says, "No pressure, then, Mr. Dawes. I'll try not to disappoint in the A1." Sorry, mate, that was a bit of pressure, wasn't it? I do appreciate that. Lewis Bird says, "It's great to listen to John speak so passionately about bringing engineering into schools. I couldn't disagree with anything." And our very own Mr. Ford, John Ford, says, "John, I love your passion. Hands-on is always better than an academic qualification."
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Just on that note, when my brother was at Oxford Brookes, he remarked to me that in his class, he said, you know, he was interesting. He said to me that all the people was within his class when he was younger, they could strip and rebuild academically on a paper an alternator. They'd never handled one. Everything was on, and he one of his advantages over the people he was with was because he worked on the car at weekends, because he raced at weekends. Because when he was using lathes and end mills here, turning widgets and stuff, and we were trying to make the car go faster, he was much more relatable to then the academia. Whereas a lot of people in his class, they had it, you know, all on paper, but they needed that relation into actually physically doing it to understand thread pitches and pulls and all that, you know, to actually understand it. And it was something he was a little bit critical of, that you need that hands-on. It's not just, and that, even to this day, he's now about 40. So even to this day, when he's in the design office at Alpine, and he's interested in things that happen around him, and because of his hands-on experience, he has a different take on things. So yeah. I do love it. Right, John, thank you so much for joining us. That looks
amazing grid, amazing sponsorship, and I look forward to really trying to promote the message that you're shaking out, and hopefully you can hear that you're not alone with that voice there.
I want to thank Kat and everyone at Castle Combe, all working really, really hard to make everything a success. I'm just a very small cog in that wheel, and I'm very proud to be attached to that championship. Hopefully not just for 1 year, for several years, so we can get some traction in it. And hopefully these conversations we've had today, we can do something with them during the course of the season. And Chris, thank you very much for always being very welcome and easy to talk to. So,
bless you. Thank you very much, mate. John, we look forward to seeing you in the paddock.
See you soon, John.
Take care.
Cheers,
Bye-bye.
mate.
Bye. Bye.
Wow, Kat, absolutely fantastic interview, that one. I loved where that went even deeper than I was expecting, and it was so lovely. The viewers really interacting, and it resonated with them, didn't it? So
yeah,
thoroughly enjoyed that. Right, before we kind of like go on for too long, I think we need to almost rattle through this now, don't we, to be honest with you, the entries, what have you. Just to say that Marcus apologises that he's not on. He had a family emergency. And glad to hear that everything is okay now, mate. But obviously, family take priority, rightly so. And he did let me know about half an hour ago. So that's why we're not going to talk in great detail about the Formula 500s. Forgive me that I can't fill the gaps in too much, but that's why Marcus was going to come on. But suffice to say, it's our 500th race day at Castle Combe, which is just a fabulous milestone. Goose has probably been at every single one of them. Sorry, Mark. And the Formula 500s were there on that first race day, and they are basically 500cc bike engines in these single seaters that will reach. Marcus tells me they will break the 100-mile-an-hour barrier. Incredibly, when you see them, the drivers look like they're almost more perched on the top than anything else. But these became, in effect, the Formula 3s of the day. And therefore is equivalent to what we have at our Formula Ford races, being sort of like a real club level single seater. So absolutely amazing that we're going to see them up racing. And just quickly, where have I got them? The 500s, the entry list for that. Oh, I do have it because I printed it out here. I mean, what have we got? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 cars, Kat, in these amazing Formula 500s.
Yeah. And the nice thing is as well, because this is just my proof here, but if you there's going to be a souvenir program that will be available on the day. As there is always a program, but this one's a souvenir one. And as Chris can show you, the grid walk is the 500. So you can kind of get on the grid, and hopefully weather and time permitting, you can read a bit more about them in the souvenir program, and obviously get the picture signed if you want to. So I've not
got
really
that
seen
for
them.
the
That's
grid
it.
walk.
Yeah.
For the grid walk, you've got that with the cars out there. It looks wicked.
Yeah, they're very excited to be back with us as well on such a special race meeting. So that's exciting. We just need a little bit of nice weather, and all that to kind of come together, and it'll be fabulous, no doubt.
Fine, we'll have fun anyway. And they haven't been at the circuit for 2 years. 2 years ago. At the Autumn Classic. So that's the Formula 500s. Amazing they're with us. They're going to be absolutely bonkers and cool races. Just quickly, the messages coming up. Tim Perry says, bye, John. Great to hear from you. David Vass says, hi, Chris and Kat. Looking forward to seeing you both on Monday. I'll be spending the day in the box with Marcus. And I did wind Goose up. Here he is, 56 years in total. So I wasn't far off, probably. Matt Coyle joined us during that piece, and I waited. He, of course, is our Saloon Car Championship coordinator. Just got home. So looking forward to Monday. Kat, what chocolate is involved? 8th season for me, and it's going to be the best.
Chocolate bunnies for all.
Chocolate bunnies. I like that one. Fair dues. And Steve Pryor said, Media Day was brilliant. First time I've been, despite spectating at Combe for 26 years. It was more relaxed being a test session rather than a race meet. I was able to have a chat with a few of the drivers and get a really good insight into their car prep and setup. I'll be there Monday to enjoy the 500. Good man. Glad to hear it. let's carry on with the visiting championship. So we've got the CMMC, so the classic and modern motorsport championship or club, super saloons and the tin tops and their intermarked silhouettes. The intermarked silhouettes are actually in with the GTs, aren't they?
Yes. So the super saloons and tin tops from CMMC have the Welsh Racing Drivers Association with them. And then
I've just noticed that draft on the program is inaccurate because it's got the intermarks in there. But
I think they've updated that since then. And the intermarks have been invited because they had such a big grid at really short notice. It's one of those things that's happened quite quickly. The intermarks are going to come and race with the GTs as a part of the GT Championship. So it's not a split grid or anything like that. They are all registered as GT competitors for that race meeting. So probably the biggest GT grid that we will have seen in some time, I would imagine.
Which is great because we get 20-minute races from them.
Just
to give you those silhouettes, the Hoosier tyre supported intermarked silhouettes. Plenty of circuit knowledge. Expect Russell Humphrey, I'm sure we know that name, to be a leading contender in his Vauxhall Tigra. Keith White from Glastonbury will be keen to challenge last year's senior champion Paul Knight. Keith has a very smart BMW Z4, red from memory, whilst Paul uses a trusty Tigra. Colin Smith uses a Ginetta G40 body shape, whilst more Tigras appear in the hands of Phil Spinks and Philip Blackford. Further variety is campaigned by Baz Johnson in a Pontiac and Mick Robertson in a VW Corrado. Of course, that's just the shapes of them. It will be interesting to see how they face up against the local GT drivers in what should be a good couple of races. I will do the GTs in a minute, but just to complete the information from the CMMC in the super saloons, you're going to love these super saloons. Plethora of BMWs take on a Holden Commodore V8. I just cannot believe that. A couple of Audi TTs, a rapid Peugeot 308 and a classic Mark II Ford Escort. And Rod Burley himself in his I think he's out in his BMW, isn't he? Yes, he is. So Rod's out in his BMW, not his Escort this time. What did I see? Some notes on this. Martin Reynolds now has a 2.5 litre engine in his Mark II Escort, so that'll be impressive. But the biggest engine will be the Holden, driven by Andy Woods Dean. We got a Mazda RX-8 of Clive Hainsford out there as well. A couple of VWs with Steve Dan and Martin Scott, and a number of Audi TTs. So it's a great looking grid for those. The tin tops are going to race with them, and that will be the new sponsorship for them, Ashstone MEP. We've got quicker runners from mixing it with the super saloons, probably, most notably Chris Bassett in his Peugeot 306 GTI, plus Matt Rowling and Neil Gardner in their Honda Civics, Bob Hosier in his Seat Leon, Sam Hayward has moved up to Class T1 in his Renault Megane, Ken Angel in his BMW 328, and then Rick Scalzi and Ian Seal in their Ford Fiestas. So a big mix of those. Plus, we've got the Welsh Racing Drivers Association, and we've got the likes of Verity Banks in the Clio, Twingo of Matthew Roderick, Simon Baker in another Mazda RX-8, Clio of Andrew Williams, Wayne Spiller, who I think won last year. Yes, he did when he came to Combe in the Mazda RX-8. Mike Cook in the BMW 330 Club Sport. Russell Haggerty in an NMR Kawasaki. Interested to see how that's going to go. Fabio Lafarelli.
Motorbike?
Well, presumably not, though. But I would love to see a motorbike out there against the cars, but it'll be a bike engine. But I'm intrigued. Same as we got the Mini with a Suzuki engine. Fabio Lafarelli. Robert Rees in his BMW Mini and a pair of Ginetta G50s. Dave Graham and Chris Everall as well in the Welsh Racing Drivers Association. So that's, I think, does that cover the guest ones well enough there, Kat?
Yeah, perfect. Well done.
I think it does.
Yeah.
Let's have a look. The Formula Fords. Now, you actually know of two extras that I don't have on my list here, don't you?
Correct. We've got a young Brazilian driver that's joining us in a Swift car. And another gentleman who has registered, off the top of my head, I'm sorry, I can't remember which class he's in. But so there'll be two more on top. So I think that takes us to 19 from memory.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. Yeah, 19 with 2 more. Yeah, absolutely. So for those of you who want to know who's racing, the good news is the 2 protagonists at the front, Felix Fisher and Luke Cooper, they're back to do it again. Vincent J, Tom Hawkins, Robert Hall. Robert Hall's back. Remember, he's a past champion as well here at Castle Combe, and he's out in his Swift. Rory Smith, Alicia Hamlin out in her Class A. Ray, James Colburn, Josh Fisher's back as well because he's seen his brother win the last 2 years, and he's not going to let that lie. He wants to get the next championship, I'm sure. Stephen Bracegirdle in a Class A car. That'll be cool to see. Bob Hawkins as well. Class B, Nathan Ward and Sam Street picking up the rivalry that we enjoyed last year. Thomas MacArthur, Richard Earl, David Cobbold, and Sam Mitchell, in Class C, and Sam Mitchell in a beautiful Merlin Class D car as well. So, that's going to be an exciting race yet again. Even Emma's kind of looking like going to be a good 2 races on Monday. She's the coordinator and she's excited about that. And we still think that's going to build, don't we, later in the year?
Yeah, definitely. And I think there's, if you're just hanging on, there's still time this week to get your entry in. We've had quite a lot of registrations and for various reasons, the drivers can't make this first race meeting. So I expect that we will get to mid-20s for the May Day meeting.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. That would make sense. So the GT Championship, we've got Class A, Dylan Popovich's Ginetta, Keith Butcher's Lamborghini Huracan, Doug Watson's beautiful Ferrari 488, Chris Everall in his Ginetta G55, Jordan Billington in his Lamborghini Gallardo, David Graham in his Ginetta G50 GT3 car. Class B, we've got Keith Johnston out in his Ginetta G50. Class C, Leo Meakin in the Ginetta G40, Darren McCormick in his Caterham 420 in Class D. Class E, we've got Philip Young in a Mitsubishi Colt, a Cupra Competition in Class E by a certain Jamie Sturgis. So the champ's in a different car this time. I knew that he'd sold it and I was keeping that quiet, and he's got a Cupra Competition out this time. Also in Class E, John McMillan and his Renault Megane. Then Class F, which of course are the silhouettes that we heard earlier. Paul Knight, Phil Spinks, Keith White, Russell Humphrey, Mick Robertson, Philip Blackford and Colin Smith. And incidentally, Alan Jenkins made a comment. I said about this beautiful red BMW silhouette Z4 of Keith White, and he says that apparently his transporter matches it as well, and it looks very smart. So I look forward to seeing that. Remember, you can come into the paddock and meet with everybody. That is fine. And in fact, Kat, that is important. They do, because we've even got trade stand area, don't we, behind Cafe Bar H.
We do. So because the circuit have been working hard to sort of get some extra engagement with various partners, if you look at, I don't know whether you can see this, but on the paddock map, you've got, it's probably not showing you very well, but you have the cafe, the area that's
put you up to full screen, 2 seconds. There we go. Yeah,
so the area that's behind the cafe here, which is often sort of underutilized, that's where you're going to find Red Bull, Masters of Motoring, and I think they've got 2 or 3 trade stands also booked. So again, it's something that will probably expand over the season, but the idea is to keep them there behind the cafe so that we can keep the paddock space for the race drivers, because obviously that's, you know, the most it's equally important for them. But yeah, so do please take a look up behind the cafe. Just, you know, stretch the whole width and breadth of the paddock if you can. You know, there's often lots to see. I know that there's talk of getting some clubs involved, and I think these things will build as we go through the season, because it's still quite early. You know, 1st of April is quite an early race meeting, and it's, you know, the first sort of time out for lots of people. But yeah, looking forward to having that trade there as well.
And there does seem to be an awful lot more being set up. I'm just about to share another link to where you're all watching this. In the comments, you'll see it pop up from us, where it's the link to the Harrows Day 2024, what to expect, talking about everything that we can expect to see there. Where obviously you can have a look at all of the facilities and what have you, as well as seeing the cars up close. We've got the new shop. It's not that new anymore, but if you've not been to it, you can go into the shop with so much more in there than we used to. We've got the trade stands we talk about there. You've actually got Paddock Club hospitality available these days, so you can actually buy Paddock Club hospitality tickets in there as well. And there's talk about being able to put your car on display, so club or individual display passes. So have a look at that article I've looked, and if you think you have a car or club that would like to actually be at the circuit and put your cars on display in certain places during the race meeting as well, get in touch. Everything is there for you to have a look at, and they are those passes that are available that includes a certain number of people access. So really go into town, the events team, to take it, I have to say, take it back to what it used to be as well. So it's great to see the good old days coming back again. Right, I think it's probably a good idea that we've left the hot hatches till last, isn't it, Kat? Because I've got to take a run up for this one, haven't I?
Yeah, yeah, go for it.
I'm not even going to count how many there is, but it's around 38 was the last number I heard
you
say.
Deep breath.
Yeah. Right, Class A. Nick Gwinnett, Jason Stack, Julian Fisher, Dan Parsons, Graham Cox, Daniel Rowe, George Kimber, Tim Adams, Tim Fuchs-Bell, Justin Holloway, Mark Williams, and Joe Hathaway, who Joe Hathaway is currently sat in a hot tub as well. I saw his comment earlier. Sorry, I missed to put that one up, Joe, but hope you're not falling under the water there, mate. Class B, Ray Ferrari Nut Ferguson, Jeff Ryle and Sean Deacon. Class C, Jake Olden. Oh, good to see you back out, mate. Julian Ellison, Adam Wilkes, and Daniel Sajadian. Class E, Oliver Kingston, Crofton Woodhatch. Now that is Grantley Woodhatch is of Grant Motorsports' son, and he's destined for some big things if Grantley is judging correctly. Toby Wilcox, Erling Jensen, maybe. We'll wait and see on that one. Gary Franks, Ben Pemberton, and Max Gray. So all those Class E, of course, is the mini sub-championship, of course, to some extent. Class F, Dan Brown, Anthony Cooper, or Tony Cooper as we know him, Matthew Johnston, Craig Tompkinson in that wonderful Vauxhall Nova, Ross Parker, good to see him out in the Slip and Grip and Wiltshire College Honda Civic, Joe Dorrington and Sam Stride in what are normally ridiculously quick Honda Civics as well. So I think it's safe to say, Kat, that's going to be an exciting pair of races.
I think you're probably right, actually. Yeah, I mean, we did at one point have a reserve list of about 6, but, you know, the nature of motorsport being what it is, over the last couple of weeks, we've lost, you know, a couple through, a bit like John was saying, really, you know, engines not being ready, people not being ready, lots of things not being ready. So I think, you know, to come back to that size of grid is still really impressive. You know, took a bit of work with the timetable, making sure that, you know, everybody was timed and scheduled in the right way, so that if there's a little more turnaround time that's required, not suggesting that that's always the hot hatches, of course, but because it's a championship, it's, you know, it feels it's all to play for. Do you know what I mean? There are points available this time, and I, you know, whilst I, again, I'm not the most experienced, I'm guessing that that's going to mean a lot to a lot of people, whether you're looking to get a point or more. So we need the numbers in these grids, don't we, to actually maximize point opportunities for everybody that's racing.
Exactly. I mean, it's just going to be epic. There's no question about it. Like you say, the fact that we are switching that to hot hatch is so good. Lewis Bird says that's a great hot hatch entry list. I can't wait for my car to be ready now. I can believe it. Tim Perry says, breathe, Dorsey, you're not wrong. Peggy says, very exciting. Won't be there myself until hot hatch first race due to work, and I'm not trading this event either, but perhaps we'll bring the stall to the next one. Yeah, bring the fudge along, definitely. Obviously, she'll be supporting her fiance, Ross Parker. Good to see Ross back out racing again, actually, because he took a bit of hiatus from that with all the work he was doing with Slip and Grip. Just, I cannot wait for it. I mean, Kat, it just reads to me like an incredibly exciting race day. There's nothing that jumps out at me that is going to be right, let's rest while this one's on. There's nothing that's going to allow us to catch our breath and slow our heart rates down.
No, I think, and, you know, we've looking at the timetable, I know people have a little panic about, you know, scrutineering to start with. So just on that note, we are going to still be taking part in the 25% of scrutineering. So it won't be full grids unless there's a reason why we should. So it'll be 25%. I've almost got my list ready. We'll pick 25% of each grid just randomly, and I'll notify you by email, probably by Thursday, end of play. And you'll scrutineer, warm up. There's still some space on warm up. If you're looking to do that, you just book that through your RevUp account. It's free. Again, it's not, it's not compulsory, but if you haven't been out on track much yet and you just want to have a couple of, familiarity laps out there with some of your some of the cohort, then that's the way to do it. But we had 20 minutes of spare time on the timetable, which is why we popped that in at the beginning of the day to give everybody a slightly easier start to the day in terms of, haven't done my admin. Oh, I forgot to apply for my license. Oh, I haven't signed on,
And it's probably worth making sure you get yourself noise tested as well, because I know it appears there's like been a national recalibration of I don't know whether it's the noise levels or the noise readings. I don't quite know what it was. At Donington Park, there was an issue where things suddenly weren't passing. We had a little bit of an issue at Combe initially with the drifters that was reading higher than they were previously, but they'll be working on that for next time. Just make sure you're giving yourself time in case there's any issue. And of course, Merlin Motorsport will be open, so they can help you if you need to bring that noise down. So that's all good. John Ford says 20 minutes spare time.
Just for you, John.
Yes, I don't think that tends to last, does it? Goose says, looking like Combe is getting back to where it used to be a number of years ago, which makes the season look very exciting. I agree. Another one of our own, Andy Abrams says, evening, Mr. Dawes and Cat. Very good episode. See you Friday and Saturday, Chris. I will. I'll see you at Donington Park, mate, for the Classic Touring Car Racing Club. If I've got any pension left, I will come up Monday to support Combe. Hopefully see you there on the spectator banks, mate. Come and give me a shout. I'm in Old Paddock commentary box. Anything else that we need to say, Kat, make people aware of?
I'm just looking at my checklist. One thing I would like to mention is that I don't know whether anybody can recall, but towards the end of last season, we welcomed the motorsport chaplaincy team. And they came and just kind of had a nice kind of quiet walk around the circuit, said hi to the marshals, and they're really there as a sort of second line of support. So if you're having a stressful day or something's not quite working out right, or you need a breakaway to talk to someone, because it can be quite a tense environment, can't it? And sometimes it can all just get a bit too much for us. So they're going to have a little chaplaincy van, which is going to be parked next to the college stand by the main entrance. So say hi to them. They'll be walking around, sneaky feeling they're coming to watch the motorsport, if I'm honest, but obviously I won't mention that to them. So that's nice. And really just bear with us over the next couple of days if you're waiting for something to come back. It is just myself and Cheryl will be there on Thursday. So, we have a lot to do in a short amount of time, but we will get there. And we do appreciate your patience when you're, waiting for something back. And I just hope everybody really enjoys their season and has some great racing, and the spectators enjoy watching, and the marshals have fun putting the fires out and all that sort of stuff. And everyone else that's kind of involved, really, because I'm sure it'll be the end of season before we know it, and we won't have had the chance to say thank you. So I'll say it now on behalf of the club that we very much appreciate everyone's support in whatever capacity. So thank you.
Agreed. I was gutted. I was supposed to be able to go to that Marshall's training weekend, but I was asked quite late, and I tried to, and I just wasn't able to get there. So the nearest I got was sending a cheesy video to thank everybody.
That was good. I enjoyed that.
Yeah, it felt weird for me to do that, because I was like, "Oh, really?" But I meant
it was like a Lord Sugar moment, when he talks.
Exactly. Which felt wrong to do, but I still wanted to say thank you to the incredible work that's being done. We can't go racing without it. Goose also says on the noise front, I found it's also to do with atmospheric conditions, as he found out himself with his Scooby, I'd imagine that is. And Pete Spiller says, stressful day, racing. Surely they're not linked together. So good point, very well made. I think that that kind of wraps everything up now, doesn't it, Kat? I think we were hoping to do this in a slightly shorter show. So thank you for bearing with us, everyone. I hope you enjoyed episode 80 as well. I can't believe that. Absolutely love it that we're still going 80 episodes later. Emma Brown says, thanks for everything as always, Kat. See you on Monday. Liam, looking forward to my first season and many more. Absolutely, mate. Can't wait for that. And Darren Duffield, great show, Kat and Dawes. See you Monday. Indeed. Kat, thank you so much for coming on and being my co-host.
Oh, no,
tonight.
thank you for having me. That was really, I always enjoy being involved. Thank you.
No, thank you. I think it's time we go and take a well-earned rest now, isn't it?
Yeah. See you on Monday, everybody.
Yeah, see you on Monday. Thanks, everybody who got involved in the show. It's been a pleasure to have your company for this time. And we'll see you all ready to go racing. It's nearly Bank Holiday Monday.